I'm Tom Matuska with the Matuska Taxidermy Supply Company. I'm here to bring you Thursday afternoon live, and I'm here with Amber Ingalls-Wilder and Brett Wingfield, Mandy Matuska, our camera lady Kirsten, and it's a good thing that I'm not in charge of the electronics that goes into this production, because they told us to pull up a hot spot and I don't even know for sure what they meant. Anyway, today's version is going to be, this session is going to deal with antlers, antler repairs. We're going to try to get into some molding, some coloration. We have a whole lot to show you. This is something that every taxidermist comes in contact with. If he's in this kind of business, he will get antlers like this. They may have a chip, a deformity. Lots of times customers will want to fix tines like this, and we have all different, everything from little tiny incidental chips that a little bit of epoxy will cover them up, to major fixes, even to casting antler parts and putting them, attaching them to the real antlers. Just to show you a few, this is a set. This was a deer that we raised out here, and you can see that he's missing one of his little kickers off the back. And to fix something like this, it's no more difficult than put a wire in there and rebuild that tine to match these with an epoxy. Sometimes we get into major fix-its. This was a set of antlers that I'm not entirely sure what happened, but it looks like they maybe got shot off. Luckily, the customer brought in the right side of the rack, and we took a threaded rod, drilled it down into the main beam and up into here, and we're going to show you how to fix that. Got a little debris falling off it. Lots of times you can take real antlers and use them to patch missing tines. You can take, make artificial tines, real tines, and if you thought this was the real one, it's not. This is the plastic one that we made. We're going to show you how to do that. So I think, if it's okay with Amber, I'll turn this over to you. She's pretty good at sculpting these things and making them go away. A lot of times the customers will come and they won't even be able to find their fix-its. And like I said, on this one, I put a threaded rod, I drilled it down in here, 5-minute epoxy, down into there, up into the main beam. We kind of scrutinized them for symmetry and level and things like that. And why don't you show the fine folks what you do with that?
Okay.
You tell us what you need and we can make it happen.
All right. So like Tom said, he had used a threaded rod on this. If you were doing something smaller and you were going to be using a plain wire, you want to make sure that you score it or something to make sure that it's got good grip. When we put our fix-it sculpt onto this threaded rod, it's really going to grab it and it's going to make it stay in place. So if you would ever use a smaller tine, like on this one, you can see Tom had scored it here to make sure that that fix-it sculpt kind of grabbed onto it really well. Okay, and then the next thing is, before we put on our fix-it sculpt, if we would try to just build up onto the antler as it is now, we're going to end up with a hump right where the fake fix-it sculpt meets the real bone. So what I like to do is take a Dremel or any kind of a sanding, any way that you really want to do it. I use the Dremel with the sanding drum, and come around the edge, and we're just going to knock down and make a nice easy transition so that that fix-it sculpt doesn't hump up onto the real bone. So I'm just going to kind of go around this whole thing here. And it's okay to even come up on.
Power tools.
Power tools, yes. I even like to come up and drag up onto the antler. If I can keep it away from being just a straight line, it seems like you can hide it better. So every now and then I'll just kind of drag it up on just to kind of get rid of that line.
Oh, that's perfectly good name.
of my dad was in a conversation.
And we're going to be using Fix It Sculpt. It's a product made just for doing this kind of stuff, and it works really well. It doesn't dry with as much of a sheen as what epoxy sculpt does, and it's already kind of pre-colored to the color of a lot of antlers. It won't necessarily match perfectly to every antler. As you guys all know, they're all a little bit differently colored, but it'll get you in the ballpark, and that's just going to make your job that much easier later on. Almost done. Okay. And you only want to mix up as much as what you know you can use, because kind of like epoxy sculpt, it does start to set, so you don't want to mix up half your container and then be left with it. But we're going to be using quite a bit on this one here, so we can mix up quite a bit.
What's the difference with Fix It Sculpt and epoxy as far as for the antlers?
As far as doing it, well, the epoxy sculpt will have a tendency to dry with more of a sheen, and epoxy sculpt, the natural color, is gray, and it doesn't have that antler type color. If you start with the natural epoxy sculpt, you're gonna have a hard time getting it back. It just seems like if you can start with the light, really gonna give you some good results. That's why Fix It Sculpt is so ideal, along with the fact that it doesn't dry so shiny, so it matches an antler a little bit better. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start mixing.
And you're just mixing equal parts of A and B?
Yep, 50-50 mixing equal parts.
So are you adding water so it doesn't stick to your hands, or just...
Sure, you can add water. It actually is starting to stick to my hands a little bit here. And you can use gloves for this as well.
And it gets hard like epoxy sculpt where you can just put it in the microwave for a little bit. Is that the same?
Yeah,
applies?
yep. If it would start to harden up if you had it on the shelf for a while, you mean? Yeah. Basically all the same properties as far as everything, the way that epoxy sculpt works. So I'm just really making sure that it's mixed up well here, and I don't see any swirls or striations in it.
Fix It Sculpt's a cool product. I've used it in fish work too. Works very similar.
What do you use it for in the fish part?
I did all my repairs. I've done all my repairs with Fix It Sculpt on some fish. It's a little more expensive, but it gives a nice texture.
Oh, that over epoxy.
Mm-hmm.
I just kinda...
Bobby Gilmwater, East Tennessee watching.
East
Maurice
Tennessee.
Birch, hello from Montrose, Pennsylvania.
Where's
Chris
Roger
Kennedy
Dolling
says,
this
hey
week?
everyone. What?
Where's Roger Dolling this week?
I don't know. Brian Turpit, hey guys, great live feeds. Randy Wold, hello. Randy, you never miss one, and I love that. Like it. Bobby Levy, fun stuff. Rick Dunlap, hello everyone. Jeremy Lee, hello everyone. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in.
Just Spec made it.
I'm just kind of dragging it down and dragging it into all the places. The worst part about trying to do this is that as you're putting it on and you're working one side, next thing you know, it's all pushing through to the other side. So as you're doing it, just keep on wetting your hands down and then work it as a whole. So instead of just pushing and trying to get one side smooth, you're gonna have to have support on the back side to try and get it so that it stays on your wire. And this will take a little while to get this, so just kind of back and forth working it. I might have to add a little bit more here to really get the right effect. Looks like I didn't mix up quite enough. I'm gonna need a little bit more down in here. So I might,
It's already taking a nice shape though.
yeah, it's getting there. And make sure that you're keeping your hands wet. I'm just continuously dipping my hands, and it will run down and get all over up here. I try not to get it like all over, but you will end up with it onto the real antler. So after you're all done, definitely take a rag and you're gonna take and kind of wipe it off, because this milky color that's on here will leave that. It will stay on your real antler, so you don't wanna leave that. Otherwise you're gonna end up repainting the whole thing.
That's a big repair.
Yes, it is.
Brad Odom says, howdy folks from Middle Tennessee. Ray Lamb, hello. Dave Kimball, hi from Dave Kimball, Linden, Iowa. Dan Williams is watching and driving again. Dan, be careful. Driving is not
Sounds
okay.
like my daughter.
I would never. Hello from Germany, good work.
Hey.
Tommy Schroeder,
Hey, Tommy.
Wow.
hello. Rob Levy wants to know, over time, does it shrink?
We haven't found it, I don't think.
That's one of the nice things about it. It does have very, very little shrink, if any at all.
Okay, while she's doing that, should we show them how to make an artificial tine, and we'll let Amber work and then come back and check on it?
Absolutely. So I think we'll make a quick mold. We can cast a tine. If we were to, in this case, we set this up on an armature real quick, but we've got a broken tine here. We're going to try to replace it, and one of the easier ways to do that would be to cast a tine. So we've got a similar one here. It's going to have similar shape and similar texture. We're going to make a quick mold of this, and we're going to do it with silicone. And this is just a pretty simple, fast mold. This is 100% silicone, just simple stuff you buy.
Just like window caulk, right?
Yep.
Bathtub
Yep.
caulk?
Yep. As long as it's 100% silicone. Just gonna put that in a tube here. In a cup. And as odd as it is, silicone repels water, seems to repel water. The moisture content is what's going to set this up. If we just squirted this on the table, it might take a couple days to set up thick. But by adding acrylic paint to it, this is our Woods and Waters paint in Tom's green. By adding that to it, we're going to mix it in, and it will catalyze this, and hopefully we'll have this set up here in half an hour. So I'm going to put a pretty good squirt of paint in. Obviously, the more paint you're going to put in, the faster it's going to set up.
Now, can you ruin it? Can you put too much paint in?
Sure. The more paint you put in, the faster it'll set up, and I've done it where you can put in so much that it sets up while you're stirring it. But we're just going to mix this up like so. Making sure it's thoroughly mixed. Incredible Hulk green.
And I saw you earlier put a little mold release on there.
We did.
Is that
We
necessary,
cheated.
you think?
Yes.
You put it on what, the antler?
We did put mold release on this antler earlier. That was, where'd it go?
Isotope.
Isocoat. Yep.
Jeff Speck says take a good whiff of that.
Oh yeah.
Terrible.
Good stuff.
Terrible.
Okay, so we're gonna get this on here quick.
Is the reason you said that?
Yes. I got plenty of paint in this mix. seems to be firming up pretty good. The one thing you want to make sure and do is put it on evenly and make sure that you're not trapping a whole bunch of air. So we're going to put this on like peanut butter, but I'm also going to make sure that I don't capture a bunch of air in this mold. Amber, you said you've done this with tails?
Yep. For any kind of life size, you run into different tails and things like that for bobcats, coyotes, any of those little critters, and it works really good. And I usually just laid the tail down on some wax paper, gave it a little bit of extra wax, and then just put down a bed of that, laid the tail on it, and basically completely submerged it inside of the caulk mixture.
Very
and then,
cool.
and then you can come back, and I usually let it sit for quite a while and then come back and cut it out, and you'll be able to.
Perfect reproduction
Yep.
tail. Also seen it done with rocks.
Bird
as
heads?
well. Bird heads, yeah. Yeah, it's quick and it's easy. It's inexpensive. It's probably not quite as nice as poured silicone mold, but now I have here about 50-50 Dawn and water, just a good soapy water, and I can smooth that, keep it from sticking to my hands. And we're just gonna let this set up. And we did one earlier today that we have that's all done. We'll even show you pouring it.
So it's like a
Pour
cooking
one?
show.
Yeah. We're gonna put this one in the oven, and we'll pull out one that's all finished. But that's basically it. We're just gonna smooth this out, and making sure that it's thick enough. The water content in the paint is what's gonna catalyze this silicone and make it set up for us. It's already starting to firm up pretty good.
I'm gonna do some more shout outs. Thomas Krankowski, hi from Connecticut. Chad Petrie, enjoying the feed from South Louisiana. Mark Rafe, love the live videos, keep up the good work.
Hi, Mark.
And Ray Lamb just said that he did the same thing to a 10-point left beam he got.
Nice.
Okay, while he's smoothing that out, let's check out what Amber's doing here. This is starting to look pretty good.
Yep. So now that I think that I've got enough on there,
How
I'm
much
gonna-
time do you have with that fix-it sculpt?
I don't know, about 20 minutes.
And do you try to do it all in one setting, or do you add to it later, or does that have
I
negative results?
typically do it in one setting. Sometimes you'll do it and then something will happen, and you can always come back and, if you would happen to put a fingerprint in it or whatever, you could always come back and sand it and then do some more. Or if, again, sometimes you like your work and then you'll come in the next day and you'll be like, whoa, what was I thinking, And then you'll decide, well, maybe I'm gonna sand that off or take it down and then redo it. As far as this, first I wanted to make just the basic shape and get it so it kind of flowed all nice and even, and there didn't seem to be too many weird ridges happening. So I'm kind of looking at the outside edge profile of the antler and making sure that it looks like it flows really nice. And now I'm going to start to look at some of the detailed little spots here. As we're coming from our main beams and we're working our way up, they've got all the bumps and ridges. So I usually like to take down little threads like this of some more, and we're just going to kind of lay them on there to kind of help get those ridges back. So I'm kind of just seeing where they're coming off of the real antler. Thank you.
That's looking really nice, Amber.
Thank you. So now we're just kind of following these ridges up. Usually you'll see lines and bumps and ridges. So this is going to help us, instead of digging in to the antler, it's going to help us kind of get the raised bumps.
Mark Rife, mixing paint in won't ever stain the antlers.
Mixing paint.
Is that you talking about the rubber product?
Typically not.
Typically not.
We hope not.
And then Rick Dunlop wants to know, the water-based paint trick was one of the best secrets that I have learned. Greatly appreciated the tip.
Works good. Practice on something.
Do you ever make a press pad of the other side to get the detail?
We can show you how to do that if you would like to do it quick. Let me take, I usually do it of the side that Amber's doing, but I'll use this one here. How about a little spray bottle of water over here? We use a lot of impression pads, and you can make them out of silicone, you can make them out of latex, but a real fast and easy one is to use hot glue, and all you have to do is saturate the texture that you want to copy with water so the hot glue doesn't stick. Take a warmed up hot glue gun and pour a puddle on here.
Are you sure that's not going to stick?
No. We try to practice these things before we go live. Okay, now I just made a small, probably 50-cent size patty of hot glue on here. And we're going to let that cool. And why don't you grab one of those back there? I made a couple earlier. Like I said, we try to practice a little bit before we show you these things. But here's a couple that I made off of the antlers that Amber's fixing. And you peel them off. They come off pretty easily. And there's two different textures from the area that she's repairing. And you just get a little edge of a knife under there and they'll lift right off. And then she can use these to push into her soft epoxy.
I can do that on part of the side if you want to.
Go ahead.
Show.
That's fast and works good. Other things you can make impression pads out of?
Latex. We've got them out of latex. We've got, we did a artificial hippo one time, and we used latex on the real hippo skin. Surprisingly enough, long time ago, there was an article, I want to say by Bill Munns in Breakthrough, and he used squash.
You can see how it
and
adds all of the
from
additions.
the grocery store and made impression pads that look like skin. And so you can go to the grocery store and you can look at different
And I'm
textures
just kind of
of
looking at
melons
the
and
texture
squashes,
too,
and it
because
makes a
we want to
really
make
good
sure that we don't put
impression.
the real deep stuff too high.
Probably could just do it with silicone too, just like we did at
Silicone
the
rubber,
time.
sure you can.
So you can see how it kind of picks up all of that.
Latex would be a lot longer time to dry.
Yeah, and you have to put it on the layers. We've got a lot of latex ones.
Jeremy Lee says, definitely going to try that. Brian Turpit, I always learn something new from these feeds. Look forward to them every week. Love hearing that. Thanks, Brian.
You know, this is stuff that we do every day in the shop. We just don't even think about it. And a lot of people it's new to, and a lot of the beginners haven't been exposed to it. So try some of these things, and you'll be surprised how helpful they are.
And there's always different methods out there that we haven't even tried that, like if you go to your seminars and state shows, there's just always learning in different ways and methods and products.
Shall we pour a time?
Sure, I think
Show
so.
them how this works?
I think so. So if you were to have pulled that off, is it setting up good for you?
It's setting up really good. It's a little early to pull it off, but
We usually let it sit an hour or two.
this was the one that we had made earlier. Pulled it straight off. We're gonna need a release inside it.
And you don't want something that's going to inhibit paint. So what works good for us is baby powder. Releases every time.
We hope.
We hope. It's another one of these things. Stay tuned for next week.
For those of you just tuning in, we are Matuska Taxidermy Supply Company, and we go live every Thursday at 4:30 Central Time. And just different tips and tricks that you can tune into, and we usually always do a giveaway at the end of every show, so stay tuned for that. And you can call us at 1-800-488-3256 or visit us online at www.matuskataxidermy.com.
Jay Kreider is asking how he can become a taxidermist.
Ooh. Call us 1-800-488-3256 and start your award-winning career today. Call and ask for Vicki. She'll walk you through. We have a 9-week residential course that we offer. We actually have one going on right now, and they cover all your areas and more of taxidermy and get you started in the right path.
Okay, we're going to pour this antler tine that Brett made a mold of. We made this actually earlier, so it was ready to go. The product we're using is polycast casting resin, casting plastic, and it's actually a urethane, similar to your urethane foam that the mannequins are made of. It doesn't expand. This particular version stays white. It does not yellow over time, and that's really, really important because I've seen some lot of antler reproductions that people have done, and they yellow and turn very orange over time, which completely changes the color of them when you look at them. So I've prepared, Brett, equal amounts. You mix up an A and a B. There's a stir stick. I got a wire over here. I bent it to the curve of the.
Wow.
Ready? You bet.
Can we do this? See if I can.
Now this is what he's going to make. This is the same tine from the same mold, and this just couldn't look more real to me.
Amber painted that in 2.5 minutes,
Or less.
right before we went live.
And you can make them light, you can make them rust colored, you can make them whatever it takes to match the tine that you're trying to duplicate.
Equal parts of A and B. I've got them mixed up. I'm just gonna pour. It's already getting warm.
You got about a three minute working time, maybe 4 or 5.
It's going in clear.
People will call and say, oh, it's sticky, it didn't set up. You want to make sure you mix it good and the white swirls are gone once it's clear all the way through from mixing, and it's good to go.
And this is our support tine. We're just gonna leave in there. You wanna watch that for a minute?
What's the difference between this and smooth cast?
I'm going to say it's a similar product.
Yeah, I think so.
We use polycast. This is what Wildlife Illusions bird heads are made of, and it's a good, strong product.
So while this sets up and kicks, we'll come back to it, but you gotta check out what Amber's doing over there. That's looking pretty cool.
See, I couldn't do what you're doing because I'm a little too jittery. People say I shake like a used combine.
That's why I had her go over there.
What did Amber paint that with? Light brown mixed heavy with lacquer?
Yeah, that was cocoa brown mixed with some lacquer to thin it out. And that's what most of the color is on there.
Who would use cocoa brown? I'd never pick cocoa brown.
Where's your cocoa brown?
Oh, yeah.
Rich brown?
I mean, your stuff turns out, it's just not better than mine. I just wouldn't pick it.
That's why her stuff turns out so nice.
So life tone, you use life tone?
Yeah. Life tone lacquer paints. This is rich brown, but I used cocoa for that antler. And then
Did you mix that, or what's the deal?
then added some lacquer thinner to it to thin it out, and just basically did a smear coat, so just a wash over the whole thing. And then when you get up to your tip, you just want to make sure that you're dabbing it off, so you paint it on, and then you
There it
dab
goes.
off the paint as you're getting up to
Okay.
your tip, and that's why the tip isn't quite as.
That's going to turn white pretty quick.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
starting to set.
Yeah, see, it's just starting to set in there.
It's magic.
There we go. So it's gonna go, just show them that.
You'll notice on our life tone bottles, the bottle cap, Matt Kraft, who got them, informed me that they do fit the polytransfer paints, which was a question.
Oh, really?
Yes, so they do actually fit those. So you can get those. We sell them in dozens and single, and it's just a nice, easy, no spill, no drip. You can suck it out.
Just don't lose those little red caps, because then your paint's going to evaporate. While we're waiting for all that to set up, I could probably peel this off.
Yeah, I bet.
maybe. Okay, now that came clean off the antler. Here's a nice impression pad of the rough part of the main beam. And we have a drawer full of these. I mean, we pull these out, we'll take a look at them, say, let's see what that looks like, and press it into place. Use them over and over, and nothing ever happens to them.
They get lost.
Get lost.
That's all that can happen. Right on the back of them, what they are, where they came from. You could have sheep or antelope.
We've done the Boss on Cape Buffalo. We've made them out of hot glue and made impression pads. A lot of your horned animals like kudu and impala, where they're kind of ringed around there, are very easy to duplicate. Now, what do you do without fingernails?
Well, you'd use tools. I just use my fingernails as my tools. Stop. Obviously, I am not one of those people that go home with the cleanest fingernails. No, please give me grief about it.
Now that that's set up, it'll stay rubbery for a little while, and just be patient, and when you pull it out,
Yeah, we'll let this go for a little bit. It's still rubbery.
Be hot and bendable at the beginning.
Yeah.
Ooh, light tone paints. Also, we now are carrying, and they are in, so you can call us. We have the 4-ounce life tone paints. If you don't go through the full 8-ounce, we now have the 4-ounce available. They are online, and you can call our staff.
yeah, a lot of people just don't go through enough paint to buy the big bottles.
See? Well, do you get the 28?
Are we getting any lights? Are we getting bubbles going through or anything like that?
No, go ahead and like what you're seeing.
Like,
Let us know. Nope, not that one.
like and love.
No, we'll have to get new.
We are gonna
And
have
then
to.
here, whenever we want to make one of those that's large, I'm just going to go ahead and kind of drag it up and bring it to a little point.
Here's your bubbles.
Oh, good.
Oh.
Good. Those count, right? They give us extra
You got
credit
a
or something?
heart.
Extra credit.
Extra credit in the,
Is that brush okay for you? You want a softer brush?
No, I think it'll be fine.
that's looking really good.
With a little bit of work, you can get it in practice. You can do some pretty fun things.
Your likes and hearts are still going.
Nice.
Should we pull it? Is it time already? Okay,
Kirsten, we're gonna pull this.
Alright.
I'll hold that
So
for you.
hold, that's the one we just poured. Might be a little early, but we're gonna see if we can get this one off.
Patience, you know, you gotta have patience.
I know, but we want to show them. There.
Now that should be a perfect replica of that time, which cut to a descending length and put on where that one's missing with a wire should really match nice.
Yeah. We have a little bit of green on there. I think we can come back and take just a little acetone lacquer thinner and take it right off. So I would let this set up for a little while just to continue to cure. But I'm going to sneak in here and grab this one. This is the one we made out of this previous mold, and if you were to put it right in here, can you see that, Kirsten? If we were to
Here.
use that time.
Then you're just gonna have a small little band, 1/8 to 1/4 inch, fix it down there.
We bend this wire to fit, but I think that's going to make a really nice profile. I'll turn it this way and you can see how well it matches the rest of the antler because it came from the same antler. Pretty cool.
Close up.
And if you'd like to look at this one has been really revamped. Amber did this one a while back. This tine has been added, and she filled in the interim there. This tine is one that we cut off of a scrap set of antlers, added here. Over here, you've got this tine has been added, and this is built on. So there's a whole major repair job in antlers like this. And then all you need to do is color. any repair, I always tell people texture and color. What she's doing now is copying the texture, and next will come the color.
Okay. Thinking that's pretty close to what I wanted to see.
Jake Kreider says, that's so cool. You guys are great. You'll need your own television show.
It takes a village to fix an antler.
But look at all the options they have. The worst part about this is now they're going to have to choose which way they're going to do it.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm thinking that's pretty close. Sometimes if it gets too shiny, you can always come through and kind of dab off any of your extra.
Terracloth is a great texture tool.
It is, it is. Sometimes it just kind of gets just too smooth, so you can come through and kind of just dab slightly here. And that in itself will add texture.
Brent Dennison wants to know where Clem is.
He's still down south for the winter, I think.
Here. Very cool.
So I think that we're just gonna let sit, and we'll just leave it. You could come back to it the same day. I usually don't. I usually like to just leave them and let them completely do their thing, and then come back to them and just paint them the next day. Now this stuff here, we mixed this up at the very beginning of the video, and it's still okay. Because when we mixed it with water, I'm thinking it kind of slowed it down. Just like epoxy sculpt, if you're working with it and it gets to that point where it doesn't want to smooth and drag onto the surface, then you know you're at a stopping point with it and it doesn't work anymore. So.
Rob Levy says, Tom, you have some talented artists in your shop, or mad scientists.
I will agree. I will agree.
You are watching some pretty talented fingers. Get yourself a kit of Fix-It Sculpt and practice, practice, practice.
For those just tuning in, this is Matuska Taxidermy Supply Company, and we are live every Thursday at 4:30 Central Time, and we kind of do different tips and tricks, talk about different methods from fish, deer, measuring, everything. So tune in every Thursday. If you've missed them before, you can always go to our Facebook page. Make sure you like and follow because it will notify you when we go live, but you can always watch our live videos from the past so you can catch up on all of that stuff as well. And we do giveaways every week. So stay tuned.
Look at her go.
I know it.
Here is what you're going to end up with when you pull this out. I just grabbed onto this with little cutters for grip.
Is it going to stick? Oh,
Came
came
out.
right out.
Now it has a couple little blems in here. We'll sand those off. And that and this are the same. This one's been stained. So when we get to color in here in a couple minutes, you can color that one also.
You're going to make her paint them too?
Shane House said, have you ever used a texture mold made of latex instead of sculpting, which is what you
Yes.
talked about.
Yep.
Texture pad, yep.
Yep.
It
Works
takes a
great.
while to make, it's the only thing, but they last forever.
Oh, nice. There we go. I think we'll just leave that.
Beautiful.
And then sometimes too, you can even use these little sanding pads. And sometimes people will come through, if you notice that you do have some kind of a hump or something like that, you can come through and sand it afterwards, the next day or whatever. And then work your way down on grit so you don't end up with big sandpaper marks, because if there is big sandpaper marks, then you're gonna end up, if you can see it now, the paint's gonna soak into it and it's just gonna amplify it once you try to paint it. So you wanna make sure that you go fine on your sandpaper grit to get rid of the marks off of that.
Joe Simmons, the silicone, did you use acrylic tube paint or airbrush paint to mix with the silicone?
We used acrylic airbrush paint.
Woods
but
and water?
That was woods and water, so you can use basically any acrylic paint. Craft paints work fairly well too. The first ones I've done, I used craft paint. We just grabbed the woods and waters because it was convenient. It's in our paint cabinet, and we just added that. The more paint you add, the quicker it will set up.
Amber, you
As
probably
we
want to
learned.
switch this.
Let's talk about color. There's 1,000 different ways to color antlers. I've seen beautiful antlers restored with kiwi boot polish, oil paints, latex paints. There's some real artistic people that treat white antlers or light antlers like a piece of canvas and actually, paint the entire antler. Why don't you show us some of your little ideas?
Okay. Well, here, we'll start with this one here. This is the one that we had done. I can come and show it to you. So like this is one that we had done before and it's already dried. And we can just kind of go through and we're going to work on getting it painted here. I don't know why or how, but I end up using Q-tips when I'm doing trying to put the texture back into the antler. And it just seems, for me, it seems to really work well because it kind of gives an unpredictable texture. It seems like if you're trying to do it with a paintbrush, you'll end up with streaks and strokes, and it's just kind of a little bit too predictable, where when you look on this, it's rough and it's just kind of nice.
So Josh Parsons said, I found a shed last year that was faded solid white. How can I bring that color back?
To do that, I would start with the base color. So like here, this doesn't match the exact color on this. So we would want to first make our fix-it match the lightest color onto the antler. That's always my first thing, is to get it to match. For restaining a whole antler, I would usually start with a dark brown or a rich brown down on the base, and we're gonna thin it out with lacquer thinner.
Don't the Q-tips leave lint?
No, I'll show you why. I don't really put it on heavy with it. I use it and it's real dry. So like, let's see here. So I just took some lacquer and thinned out that color. So it's a really, really, really thin cocoa again. And you can kind of see when you thin it out, it goes on pretty streaky. If you would put it on straight, I'm gonna just roll it through here. Now we're gonna go and kind of roll it through, see how it kind of gives an unpredictable, chopped up, broken line. And that's a nice thing. So I'm running the Q-tip instead of dragging it, giving it streaks, rolling it, and you can get some really, really nice antler-like coloration that run up your tines. So first I would go through and make it match a little bit more. So this is with the watered out, and I'm just kind of painting it on, and I wanna get it. Now it's not always gonna be cocoa, obviously, because all antlers are different areas of the antlers are gonna look different. If it ends up getting streaky, just take a rag and kind of wipe as you're doing this, and that'll tone it down so you don't see stroke lines. You don't want to see strokes.
What do you do for sun bleached antlers? Same method?
Yeah, it would be the same method. If you were doing obviously if you're doing a whole rack, you're gonna want to use something a lot bigger than a Q-tip. I'm just doing a Q-tip because I got a small area. So you would mix up a lot of this kind of paint and dip it, and I would start down on the base because your base is darker, and then just kind of work up using a rag to dab off your ends as you're working it up the tines, and then dabbing it off because you don't want streaks. But it would be the same, a similar process. So just kind of bringing it in, matching it a little bit. Okay, now we can come in and start trying to tie in some of the darker lines. And I usually give it a few rolls to get an idea of how dark it is, because you don't want to, you know, put it on and go, ooh, you know, it's way too dark. And then just kind of rolling it up the tine and start, you know, where your tine is dark naturally, just kind of take those lines and continue them across your fix-it work.
Do you ever use an airbrush gun to color the antlers?
I myself have not. Tom, have you?
Not very often.
No, I think you get a nicer result this way.
Although there are people that probably do beautiful
Yep.
antlers with an airbrush.
Hey, speaking of airbrush, do you have a needle?
Oh.
Amber wasn't here when we did that trick, and there's some people that haven't seen it, so I feel like we should do that one more time.
Show the sharpen air.
Yes.
Oh.
So just in, they are actually in now. We have them, you can order them. Well, Kirsten wasn't fast enough to put them online, so put them in your comments on your order or call and the ladies will put them for you. But this is a black version and it sharpens any of your, what? Oh, sorry. And it sharpens any of your airbrush needles. It's sharpen air.
Let me see that.
And then, this is really exciting. Ladies,
What?
boom. Pink. Mother's Day is coming up. Father's Day is coming up.
Or men. You never know.
for sure. Easier to find around the shop, but this would be great gifts. You don't have to buy new needles. You can always do it. You got one?
I have one.
Okay.
Now, this makes me nervous because the first time I ever did this
It works good.
was last week, and I only did it because of a YouTube video. Here's an airbrush needle. Now what happens is you drop these airbrushes if you don't have an airbrush holder, and the needle gets bent. Once the needle gets bent, when you tighten it down into your fluid nozzle, you probably are going to wreck your fluid nozzle also. So let's assume your needle's bent. In order to bend it, I'm going to...
Oh gosh, that just hurts.
It does too. I'm trying to bend it. Now, Iwata has a hard needle.
I know.
Okay, now,
You're not going to believe it.
can you feel that burr on there?
Oh my gosh, I can see it from here.
I think we need to
Oh.
let them
Can
see
you
it
feel
too.
the burr?
Yeah.
See if you can get, here, put it flat against, ooh.
I don't know if you can see it.
What about on this? Like if you angled it?
Yeah, roll it. Roll it, Mandy. You can see it right there. Yeah.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
It's definitely.
Believe me, it's there. It
there.
snags my
You know, it's like
pants.
having a.
But we can make a better one. If you want a better one, I can bend.
Oh god! Careful! Now you're being.
That's not my needle, is it?
Yeah.
This is out of your what is it? Your micron, custom micron. Okay, now watch the YouTube video, but I want to say, and I'm not going to say my grits properly. The first grit is like a 600 grit. There's a hole over here, and it's for the tip of the needle. You insert it in there, and you twist it. And you don't have to twist it too many times, maybe a dozen times.
They're asking how much they are. They're $44.95. Brent Dennison said he's ordering the pink tomorrow. It's exciting. It's a great pick, Brent. I think it'll fit perfect.
Okay,
Get lost in
I
the shop.
only did the first, feel that, I only did the first grit.
Huh.
Isn't that something?
Yes.
That is crazy.
Okay, now I'm gonna put it in, I think the other one's 12 or 1500. It's a real fine grit, and that's just to polish it. This will polish any needle. Your needles kind of get damaged. I'm gonna do it again a dozen times or so. I've thrown away a lot of needles, lots of needles. Okay, pull it out. Is there any burr on there?
Still don't want that to be mine. Are you sure?
Is it good, or
It's
do I need
really
to go
good.
more?
No, it's really good.
That's crazy.
Now, the second two are for, and I got, huh?
This shoulder?
The shoulder. I called it, what did I call it last time? Maybe I called it the shoulder. That's not really the proper
Oh.
term. Anyway, that's for farther up the needle. And he said that it's not even necessary to do those, mainly just the tip ones. But there is no burr on there whatsoever.
How
Oh, I
far do
see.
you put the needle in?
As
Could
far
be
as it
used
goes.
For a sewing needle that has a rounded tip.
A sewing needle?
Yeah, could it be used for a sewing needle?
Only airbrush needles. No sewing, just airbrush
You could
needles.
try it out though and see.
Well,
But,
well, that's probably not a bad.
Might be a little too deep.
A long one.
Long.
Yeah,
I have-
I'm going in 3 inches.
But so this one, you want to make sure they're not online, but if you order tonight, because we're not answering phones, you can enter it in your comments of that you want one, pink or black, but also mention pache or other. So this version is for everything but pache, and the reason is the pache needles are thick,
They're
more
different.
thick.
They're different.
So then there's also a pache version. They're both $44.95, but you'll definitely want to specify which one you're going for.
There is your custom micron needle
Let me see. I want to see.
restored.
I'm impressed. I really am.
I know.
Good.
That's cool.
Now
How pretty is
though,
that?
if you had a bad needle and you keep ramming it up into your fluid nozzle, you're probably going to need a $30 fluid nozzle also.
We don't have
You
a
know.
fluid nozzle sharpener?
No fluid nozzle sharpener.
So that's $44.95. Great Mother's Day or Father's Day gift coming up because that is right around the corner. Next weekend, I believe, is Mother's Day. If you haven't heard of that.
Which time is she painting?
That's what I was wondering. Oh, that's excellent.
This is the real antler down here.
We gotta see this.
That's pretty good, isn't it?
Wait a minute. Which one is she doing?
It's that one. Right
Are
here.
you sure?
Yeah, you
Right
can't
there.
tell. Good work. Where this is what it looked
So-
like when you started.
Yep. So all that was just cocoa thinned out and then cocoa straight on a Q-tip and rolling it, and then it was still a little off, so I took a little bit of black and thinned it out and then used that to kind of drag up some of the gray. You can kind of see a little bit of gray undertone, and that really tied it in to
Wow.
make sure that it all blended well.
I hope you got a lot of that cocoa brown on the shelf, Mandy.
I know, right?
I would never pick cocoa brown. That's pretty interesting.
Rich
I've always-
brown works.
Rich
in
brown or dark brown, but you
Yep.
do excellent with that. But then I'm told I'm colorblind too. Do you see the new glasses they have for colorblind people?
Yeah.
It's in the paper today.
Yeah. Maybe we should carry him.
I'm gonna get them in my truck home.
You're gonna
Everyone's-
finally see what color your car is. Also in are our impresso tags. So these come in 100 packs. That's the jumbo size, and we also have the regular and impresso tags. Why use impresso tags instead of others?
Because your ink can't wash off of them.
Right.
You
Other
actually
solvents.
make a dent for every letter.
So for your fleshing and all that,
Yeah.
the chemicals won't take it off.
They're
so
great.
these are, and they're very inexpensive. I think they're like $9.50 for 100 of these and $12 for the jumbo.
Nice. What else we got?
Oh man, we got, it's kind of like news time. We have some
Oh yeah, go ahead, paint that.
Samantha Serbinsky gave us 5 stars on Facebook and says speedy delivery to Australia and great products.
Oh,
Thank
wow.
you so much.
Australia.
Not speedy.
No, not she actually
fast.
spelled out speedy, like fast speedy delivery, not
Speedy's expanding.
No, not correct. Raccoon Valley Taxidermy. Here's a stout rack little buck mounted on competitor's choice.
Oh, nice.
Competitor's Choice is
Yep,
a fine
and-
line of whitetail forms. We use them.
There's another wild
exclusively.
turkey mount ready to go, and they're tagging the Matuska 500, which is awesome. And what that is our Facebook contest, kind of a giveaway for everybody, for all your likes and your shares. We appreciate it so much. So what we're doing is a $500 giveaway, and it ends, I think, the end of June. So Not,
time.
yeah, there's still time to catch up with Bradley Grabber. He was leading the charge. But go like, share, comment on our stuff. Go give us a review, and whoever has the most of those at the end of this contest, you get $500 to spend towards supplies. So it's a great kind of give back to you guys. Let's see, what else? Ooh, Nebraska show.
Oh, yeah.
Nebraska show is
Coming up.
the 18th.
Yes.
Is that the week
The
after
18th?
Mother's Day, maybe?
Yeah.
Weekend
And it's
after.
you two going?
Mm-hmm.
So Brett and Tom will be going. So pre-order, give us a call, and you get the show discount. You save on shipping. It's a great little deal.
Where is that? Is that in Columbus this year?
Yes.
Maybe?
It is.
Sounds familiar.
Brian Clark recently bought the magnifying glasses. They work great. They're pretty
Right?
cool.
They
They've
are
been
Yeah,
selling,
they work.
they've already been selling a lot.
It's hard to keep those on stock. I'm surprised you got them, actually.
We're looking for 5 hours now.
Yeah.
Giveaway. We're getting close to the end here. We're gonna do giveaways a little different this week, and we're gonna start it. So this week's gonna be the first one, but we're gonna show you the giveaway, and we're not gonna give it away until next week's live feed. The reason being, there's so many people that can't watch this time of day, so we want to give it to them for catching it later. So you basically have until the 10th, Thursday. We'll pick a winner that day, but all you have to do is 3 things. Right next to your comment bar at the bottom of your picture, there's a share button, a white share button. You can hit it right now and be entered to win. So you'll share, you can like or heart or whichever, and then in the comments, you'll tag a friend, and you tag a friend by £,
Oh, at sign.
oh, sorry, sound like you, @
I've never been.
the @ and I'm gonna do Brett here since he's standing right next to me.
His name should pop up.
Of course it won't now. But tag a friend, @ their name, click on their name when it pops up, like and share the video. We'll pick a winner, and our giveaway this week is going to be,
Wow.
Look at that. Is that not a nice piece of cutlery?
That's very nice.
goes away every time I do it. But that comes with a nice case, and then it also comes with 24 blades. A lot of blades, replacement blades, and these are weaving knives.
This is
So
a
this-
folder.
And
Yep.
these are scalpel
This is a Vixen.
quality.
So our
Heard
new
a lot of
line-
good things about the Vixen.
Yeah, it's all over their website. So this is our giveaway. So like, share,
I'll never
tag a
win.
friend. We'll pick a winner at
Somebody's
random
gonna have
next
to-
week. So you'll have to tune in next week to see who won. Again, for those tuning in, this is Matuska Taxidermy Supply Company.
Oh, look at that.
Give us a call and place your order online. Whichever, you can 1-800-488-3256 or www.matuskataxidermy.com.
There's the painted fake.
Can't even tell.
Can't tell. And also, if you're looking to get into taxidermy or taking your taxidermy to the next level, we offer advanced classes and starting classes. So, for sure, give us a call and we'll walk you through how to get started. And next week is
Continuing on fish, we're gonna show you fish skinning from beginning to the end, and
fish skinning Thursday, 4:30 Central Time next week. We'll do.
how to take care of the skin. Give you some choices on skinning, maybe fin treatment, preserving the skin, getting it ready to mount.
Keep going on that large one
Yep.
that we started a couple weeks ago.
So tune in and let us know what you think. We love hearing the feedback from everybody. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next week.